Hello patron and welcome back to my life. It's Writer Wednesday where I give you my tips and advice about the art and the business of writing and tell you how I do what I do as an indie author. Today we're answering a question from Luke Condor who asked about advice and best practices when launching a new book series. Now this is obviously a constantly evolving process. I've never launched two new book series the same way, and it's also a very long process and a long explanation, so this video is only part one because it's going to take a while to lay this all out. What I'm going to do in these videos is lay out the procedure I'm going to use to launch my next new book series, which is called Tales of the Wanderer, which should be launching in spring of 2017. The first book of it is this one, it's Bloodlust. You may have seen it around. The first and most important piece of advice that I have is that you should have multiple books ready before you launch the first one. Ideally, you would have 3. You can do it with 2, but like really for peak effectiveness, you want 3 books at least in your series. This is going to be the operating basis of all Underrealm series going forward into the future. I'm going to be writing 3 at a time and releasing them in a 1-2-3 punch. With the exception of my big book, Quest, which is just a completely different type of property and is going to take a whole lot longer to write. More about that, I'm sure, in future Writer Wednesday videos. Having 3 books ready before you start your launch allows you to keep the hype train rolling for a 3-month period, which is about how often I think you should release your 3 books, 1 per month. One of the main reasons for this is that Amazon's algorithms seem to create this thing called the 30-day cliff. You've probably heard about this talked about a lot in indie publishing. Whether it's for a BookBub promotion or a new book release, sales spike and then gradually trail off, but then after about 30 days, they fall off much more dramatically. However, if you can start hyping your second book just before the 30-day fall off of the first book, and if you can start hyping your third book just before the 30-day fall off of the second book, you can keep the whole process going and have a really nice sales period for, 90 days, which is a lot better than 30 days. I know it can be an extreme test of patience to produce 3 full books before you release even one of them, but trust me, it is definitely going to be worth it to you as an author in the long run. One reason for that is that having 3 books ready before you release the first one means that as soon as the first one does come out, you can then drive people to pre-orders for the second book, and the same thing for the third one. As soon as the second book releases, you can drive people to pre-orders for the third book. This is a huge part of maintaining your momentum for that 90-day span. Audiences, unfortunately, can just have a short attention span. You make things a lot easier on them and yourself if you just allow them to immediately pre-order the next book after they finish the one they're on. So you should write all 3 books, you should have them all edited, or at least books 2 and 3 should be very close to the end of the editing process, and yes, you should have full covers done for all 3 of them before book 1 launches. The next thing you gotta do is choose your release day, and this is very important, so don't be afraid to spend some time on this. By release day, I mean both the date and the day of the week that your book is going to come out. The date is important. Certain times of the year are just not as good as other times. Usually after the holidays is not super great. People are kind of spent out because of Christmas and they're not looking to spend extra money. On the other hand, a lot of people did just get Amazon gift cards, and you can maybe have a successful book release if you convince all of them to spend those Amazon gift cards on your book. Just before Christmas can be a great time if you market your books as Christmas presents. However, if you do that, you are competing against literally all of capitalist society, which is also trying to sell your reader things. I've heard ever since I started writing that there's also a huge summer slump across the whole publishing industry. I haven't really seen evidence of this myself. I've released successful books in the summer, but everybody says it, so you might want to avoid summer, or you might not. You might want to look at and find your own data for yourself. That's up to you. Spring and autumn always work the absolute best for me. In spring, people in the United States at least just received their tax returns, so they're a little bit more open to spending money because suddenly they have more than they thought. In autumn, I think it might be because days are getting shorter and people are more interested in spending their time, their evenings, that is, inside curled up with a good book, maybe? I don't know, autumn just seems to work well. These things change depending on the year, depending on the genre, so spend some time researching what is the best time of year for you to release your book to your audience. The day of the week is also important for a couple of reasons. Tuesday is considered the media release day across pretty much all industries. It's when everybody puts out their new books, their new DVDs and Blu-rays. New media comes out on Tuesday. For reasons. As far as you and your release schedule, Tuesday is the day to release if a goal of yours is to hit a bestseller list. The reason is that all of the big bestseller lists from USA Today to New York Times, they all count their release week or whatever. They count their bestseller week from Tuesday to the following Monday. Again, for reasons. Probably because that's when everybody releases their media, which is a little bit of a circular logic thing, and, you know, don't we all just love the traditional industry? For me, however, I don't care about hitting bestseller lists, at least not at this stage in my career, and so I find that my best release days are always on Fridays. Fridays are the beginning of the weekend, and they're also payday. People have a little bit of extra money in their bank account, and they might be looking for something to do that weekend. If you can get in their face and be like, hey, here's what you can do this weekend. It's my book. They might spend their paycheck on it. Not their whole paycheck, unless they have a really small paycheck. Or you sell your book for a lot of money. I also think that there's less competition on Fridays because, again, everybody else is releasing their books on Tuesdays. So now you got your 3 books done and ready to go. You've chosen your time of the year that you're going to release. You've chosen your day of the week that you're going to release. Everything's set. You're ready for launch. In next week's video, we will talk about scheduling your promotional actions surrounding the release of your 3 books. That is it for today. Thank you so much to Luke for the question. As always, if you have questions about anything that I've discussed in this video that you want me to elaborate on, or if you have a question on a completely different subject, let me know. Writer Wednesdays is here to help you with anything you might be struggling with. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you as always for your incredible support, and I will see you next Wednesday. Bye!